Do you really need a buyer's agent? Coming right up. Thank you for taking time out on Saturday. I know Saturday morning is important for Brandon with the cartoon.
It was
Wait,
Power
wait.
Rangers. It was Power Rangers, actually. It wasn't even
Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Turtles.
he came and turned it off like right in the middle of while I was watching it. So
Wait. Note to self: don't make the joke about cartoons until after the interview. Be nice, be nice, Brandon.
all right,
Anyways, just kidding. Hey, so we might as well jump right into it. Why don't we, before we talk about the actual transaction, why don't we go into what your thought process is and maybe planning prior to choosing me as your agent? What were you looking for in your agent? What characteristics and maybe what concerns, etc. So, and by the way, this is not scripted. You guys just you say and do whatever you want. Hit me if you need to hit me or what have you, but go for it.
Okay. You
yeah,
want me to start?
yeah,
Okay. So I think one big thing about that was kind of unique about us starting this process is it kind of fell on us suddenly, where we didn't have a whole lot of time to really think about what we were looking for in a realtor and take a lot of time. And so because we found this house and we said, oh my gosh, we need to pull together fast. I think what was really critical to us was finding someone that we could tell was an expert on the whole process and a personal reference, right? My mom had worked with you and spoken with you at length in the past and said, I could tell right away this guy is sharp. He knows what he's talking about. He knows all of the properties in the area. Um, and so I think that that personal reference like that and testimonial was really important to us. Another thing is this was our first investment property. And so one, that being true, and then two, us living so far away, I think we both agreed like we need someone who is kind of going to hold our hand and be our boots on the ground because we're not there. We're not there
Right.
throughout this whole process if something comes up and we need to be there last minute. So I think we agreed pretty quickly we needed someone that was going to be really hands-on. Um, and just someone that we could wholeheartedly trust from afar. And I mean, I think, we had spoken to a couple of agents, and then when Brandon spoke to you, we were like, okay, this is our guy. Yeah.
right, yeah.
Right.
Immediately felt felt confident that you knew what you were doing and could help us out with what we needed to find our ideal properties.
So a little bit of context for people watching this. You pretty much had already found the property that you were looking to purchase. There were a couple of others I know that we discussed, but this one really kind of checked all the boxes because it was a turnkey short-term rental. And so, for context, you had really pretty much found the property already, and you just needed somebody to manage the process and like you said, you needed boots on the ground here locally because you guys are what 5 hours away, something like that.
Yeah, like
Right.
4.5. Yeah, it was definitely a unique way to go about it because we hadn't been looking until we found this house. And then we said, oh my gosh, let's rally, let's call the lender, let's find an agent. So it was very urgent.
Yeah,
Um, because it had fallen out of escrow. We saw it months ago and we said, that's our dream house. One day when we save enough, like we're gonna find something like that. And so when we saw it sell out of escrow with another buyer, we said, oh my, we need to rally. We need to find all of our resources and get everyone together and get our team. So it was really pretty urgent. And I mean, Brandon called you and you were at the property the same day. So we were like,
Right.
okay, this is what we need. We need someone who's going to be there yesterday. So yeah,
Right.
it was a
gotcha.
unique way that we came about the whole process.
Cool. All right. Well, sounds good. So you chose the home or the property that you were interested in. You chose your real estate agent, your realtor, which was me. And so during the process, were there any stressors that really stood out? And if so, how did you mitigate that? Or how did you try to lessen that stress?
Talk about
Yes, so
that.
there are definitely several stressors. Obviously, like anytime you're buying a house, can't avoid that. But a few of the things that stood out, we had a shortened contingency period just to kind of beef up our offer. So there's a time constraint there, and then so we needed to get things done in a hurry. All the inspections needed to be done quickly, so that we would have time to iron that out and decide, if we wanted to continue going forward. So we definitely needed help coordinating all those inspections, and so we need someone with a good network that can make that happen quickly. Another pressure was the insurance, squaring that away.
No doubt.
I think
That part was fun, wasn't it?
that was probably the number one stressor in this escrow. Which going into it, we had no idea that would be the top stressor. But like I said, you don't really know what's going to come up. So
That was one thing that was huge. I think working with you and you being able to connect with the seller's agent and like smooth everything over and keep them like, we're working on it, and then following up with the insurance company on our behalf. I think that was huge. We said at several points, thank goodness we went with Rob. Thank goodness we went with Rob, because I think, we both tend to be like pretty kind of passive and patient. And so the way that you were able to connect with them and, respectfully say, we need this going, I think that really helps with the stress of all of it. I think
Yeah.
you
Well,
kind of held on to that stress for us.
it was kind of a perfect storm when all that happened. To your credit, you started the process quite early in terms of getting the insurance binded or bound, I should say. But the problem was, so, and again, for context for the viewers, at this specific time, it was like the perfect day for you guys to not do the application, because it was when Cal Fair Plan was switching over their system. And so as a result, I think it was 42 days or something like that to finally get the coverage. It was crazy. So
they lost
I had never experienced any length of time like that for a homeowner's policy. So yeah, I would have to agree with you. That was one of my stressors in this transaction too, because I was on that daily, and it was difficult. And the fair thing was that the sellers and the seller's agent pretty much knew what was going on, because it was happening with everybody, not just us. So glad that we got through that for sure. I pretty much provide all of the information and let you decide which inspections to go with. And you went with several of them. Were any of them probably more important or a priority that stood out to you as a buyer?
Well, I would say definitely the main home inspection is the top thing for us, and then also the pest inspection is key. We want to know what the termite situation is going in.
Certainly.
I think one too is like electrical. We were like, oh, well, the house was just like all redone pretty recently, so we're probably fine, right? And I think it was you that was like, you know what, just get it checked. And then we needed a whole new electrical panel. I think we really relied on your expertise for pretty much the whole process.
Well, you just touched on something that was really important, because there was a transaction on that house, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And when the prior owners purchased that house, I don't know if they did a home inspection or not, but they missed that panel. And that panel had a recall on it for several years. So kudos to Adam Mann Inspections, who did the inspection for you guys and keyed on that fact. That was probably the most important find, in his inspection.
And I think that really speaks to the importance of, not only finding a great agent, but someone who is connected to really good contacts, right? People who are really on it, and it's not just, oh, they can get in soon, so let's go with them. People that you've worked with before and you know that they do good work. And I mean, I think that there's so much that goes into who you choose in determining the outcome of the entire transaction.
Okay, so any final thoughts? Anything that you guys want to touch on that we haven't touched on yet?
I think we covered most of it. One other thing that came up during the process was the my lender, because I was talking with him, and it was talking strategy on how to put in the offer and those kinds of things. Back to the lender, and he said, "Hey, he's like, you picked a great agent." I was talking to him about strategy and things we can do for your offer to make it, to beef it up, and he already knew all the, the techniques that I was talking about and all the jargon, which, but you guys knew it because
we didn't know.
Talking about it. That's one thing that I remember from the process is him saying, "Hey, you found a good agent," and that was right at the beginning. So that, just increased our confidence levels.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I remember that first conversation with him, and I kind of touched on what I thought the strategy should be, and he goes, "Well, I got nothing, because you just hit all the points that I was talking about." So that was cool to have that conversation with him, because it's also important for everybody on your team. We're your board of directors, and it's important for us to be on the same page. I think a lot of people don't realize how much their realtor, when they're purchasing a home or even buying or selling a home, the realtor's job is to manage the process in the background. The less you hear from us, the better. But sometimes that's a detriment to the realtors, the perception of the realtors, that they don't do much. Well, there's a heck of a lot of stuff going on in the background to manage and organize the process. So, hey guys, I really appreciate it. All joking aside, Brandon, I know you're not into the Power Ranger and the Ninja Turtle cartoons.
Hey, I still like
it. All right. Well, hey, thanks again. I really appreciate it. This is something a little bit different. Thank you, Jules and Brandon, and congrats on your purchase. If you would like to interview me to be your buyer's agent or to list and sell your home, you can contact me at ylprealtor.com or scan this QR code. Good luck with your future real estate transactions.